Hi. In this video I want to talk about why I stopped drinking. In a previous video I said I drank because I liked it. I liked the effect, I liked what it did for me. And another video I talked about what my drinking was like. It was sort of like party drinking. So why did I stop? Well, people had really been saying that I drank too much for many, many years. The first time somebody mentioned that I might be drinking too much was when I was 19. So it was that far back. And on a number of occasions people had said, you drink too much, you have got a problem. My wife certainly said that you drink too much, you've got a problem. And she was always wanting me to stop. And looking back, I cannot blame her, because my drinking was out of control, and there's no doubt about that. And it did not give her much of a married life. And I totally and fully admit that. There's no blame on her whatsoever. She wanted me to stop, and I didn't want to. I just did not want to stop. The first time I became involved with Alcoholics Anonymous, she lifted the phone, phoned Alcoholics Anonymous and said, stuck the phone in my hand and said, speak. And this guy arrived from Alcoholics Anonymous and took me to a meeting, and I thought, I'm not part of this. I'm really not part of this at all. I don't identify with these guys. These are all a bunch of losers, and I'm not. And I went back and forward to Alcoholics Anonymous for the best part of a year, going in, going out, going in, going out. The longest I could ever get sober was 2 months. I would go to my GP because I was beginning to think, this is not really very good. The worst things were the withdrawal symptoms. I was sweating and shaking, but it was the anxiety and the panic attacks. These were the things that were getting to me. And also the blackouts, because I could not remember a thing I did the night before. Nothing. And you could have told me I'd done anything, and I just had to believe you because I just didn't know. And some of the things I was beginning to do were not very nice, A couple of times I kind of molested women because I just thought, they loved me, and that's just not on, and it's just not like me. But when I was drinking, I was full of arrogance, so what I was becoming, I was beginning to hate. And you would think, okay, well, fair enough. The way to handle that is to stop drinking. No. My way to handle it was, I feel all this guilt and shame, so I'll drink to get rid of the guilt and shame. So I end up in the state it was before, therefore I repeat, and on it would go, and on it would go. So I really didn't like what I was. I didn't like when I looked in the mirror and I saw this thing looking back at me. I really didn't like it. And I felt I really must stop drinking. My last binge lasted the best part of, I think, 2 months. But I don't know. I honestly don't know, because it was just all a blur. All I remember was I went for a drink after work, and I didn't come back for a couple of months. That was what happened. I was drunk morning, noon and night. As soon as I woke up, I had to drink. But the problem was I couldn't keep it down, therefore I was I'd throw up, I was sweating, I had vomiting, I had diarrhea, I had the whole... Not pretty, I have to say, not pretty. But I just had to get a drink down me, because as bad as I was physically, mentally I was even worse. Emotionally I was all over the place. I was panicking. I was, I had terrible anxiety. I couldn't look anybody straight in the face. I couldn't look them in the eye. And I'd walk into the pub the next day, any pub, I'll try to make sure it wasn't the one I had been in the night, the last thing the night before. And I'd walk in, and my head was down until I got a couple of drinks in me. Because I couldn't look at anybody just in case I had done something to them, or because I had all this guilt as well going about, all this shame going around. And I thought, I've got to stop drinking. I've got to stop drinking. Tomorrow I'll stop drinking. It was never today, it was always tomorrow. By this time my wife had left. My house looked as if the bin men made deliveries. I mean, it was a tip. There was bottles and cans lying everywhere. There was empty food wrappers lying about, you know. There was pornographic magazines because that's what I had to do to keep my mind occupied, you know. The telly was on 24 hours a day, you know, and just to, not because I was watching it, just for noise, for company. And that's how I lived. The lock was broken on the door because I had to break it in one night because I'd lost my key, and I never fixed it. I just went out, jammed it with a piece of paper and went, you know, this is how I was living. This was my bought house. I had bought with my wife. This was, you know, and this is the way it was. And then I tried to sell that house as well in this state. So I was in a bad way when I stopped drinking. The actual story of me stopping, I'll tell you in the next video. But until then, you know, that's how it was. Okay?